Hey everybody, Zane here, and this is Galerians, a survival horror game kind of in the vein of the Resident Evil series.
I sometimes have a frightening dream.
Heart rate normal. Administer the Nalcon.
Won't that destroy his brain cells and prove fatal?
It might, but we must follow the clinic chief's orders.
Okay then.
Rion! Rion!
Who are you?
They're coming. They're coming to get me.
Why are you calling me?
I'm scared.
I've never heard of such a quick dosage cycle.
Me too. I'm afraid it may have destroyed the patient's memory. I'm surprised he's even still alive.
I'll go check the data.
At the very least, we know why we don't have any memory. LSD has fried our brain. And one of the things that Galerians has taken from Resident Evil is the wonderful tank controls. I dislike it so much. And here we have what it amounts to our sixth sense. There's a few things we can use it on to kind of get an idea of plot points, or potentially even some answers to some puzzles. So far, it looks like there's no way out of here. And there's something on this desk. What you probably want to do is stop the video if you really want to read this. It does give some brief explanation to some of the things that we'll be using throughout the LP. Basically, what I'll do is I'll explain them every time we get to them, but as of this point, there's really no need to know about a lot of these things. In fact, one of the three powers that we don't get until maybe halfway through the game. But Del meters, on the other hand, as well as we won't use those very much. As skips, those two things are really amazing. Skips are super rare, and they allow us to get even more powerful. The only downside of that is if we get hit, that power reverts back to a previous level. So, double-edged sword in that sense. We should probably use our sixth sense on this.
Where did I get such power?
Rion!
What am I doing here?
How did you get out of your restraints?
What was in that shot you gave me?
Rion, return to your bed now!
How did I get this power? Why can I do this?
I don't know anything. I just administered the PPECs.
What? It's all because of the psychic power enhancement chemicals.
Ask Clinic Chief Lem. He knows all about it.
Clinic Chief Lem.
Alright, and with that, we do have to kill this guy. And we are introduced to the combat of the game. Pretty much the same way as Resident Evil. They give you a set amount of psychic powers to use, 3 in total. Right now we have Nalcon, which sends out a psychic wave. It's going to probably be our go-to ability for a lot of things, because it is the thing that can affect pretty much everything. Another thing you might have noticed is that we picked up a recovery capsule, but there was no sparkly or nothing like that. That's a bit of a downside to this game. They don't do any sort of indication that there's something that you need to pick up, like it does in Resident Evil.
Oh.
And just to show off, like, most enemies won't actually concern themselves with a fallen body. The medical staff generally do. And don't worry, with that whole thing of taking enemies down in one hit, that's not gonna stay here for long. Most enemies will either go down in a couple of hits, which is kind of bad because, well, as you can see, our Nalcon right now is going below, and as of this moment, we don't have any way of regenerating it. You may notice our AP is now flashing. We'll get to that later. Here's the thing that's kind of like a weird bit of logic or something like that. You notice that we had to use our sixth sense initially to open one of the doors. For this one, we specifically need a key card. Don't know why. You know, I don't know if that's supposed to be, you know, like, why can't our sixth sense always open doors?
What the hell are those doctors up to? Well, it looks like the rabbit's out of his cage. Return to your room, and you won't get hurt.
And this is what happens if we try to use a psychic ability while our AP is flashing. We short out. Shorting out, well, kills everything around you instantly. In a short area, of course. And you are completely invincible while you're shorting out. You might think that might be overpowered, but bosses are not affected by this. And you move slow as molasses. Oh, and another thing, your HP drains constantly. Yep, this is about as fast as we can go. And he knows his impending doom is coming and his brain's gonna pop. And that's why Del meters are amazing. Because no matter what, the AP is always going to be gained. And if you cannot take care of that AP, you're gonna die. It's as simple as that. I really love tank controls, I really, really do. They're terrible.
face? Who am I? How long have I been here?
Gotta say, for something that amounts to a lab experiment, he is dressed kind of interestingly. A collar, earring, just kind of seems really weird. Yeah, and that's probably going to be a theme of the game, is that you have to kind of check everywhere. Luckily, there's some obvious indicators like this orange box, where we get the B-ject. It's going to be our injector for the psychic powers that we do get. Again, that we have to find somewhere scattered around, like the Nalcon. For this point, we could, in theory, screw ourselves out of some ammunition and not be able to inject ourselves back with it. Oh, here's an interesting thing. This is pretty plot specific. Oh, I don't know, plot specific. It's very much going to be needed. Let's say that. Since we initially took care of the guards with the short, might be a good idea to show off that, well, you know, enemies do take multiple hits. There are exceptions to every rule, of course. But let's switch to our second ability that they injected us with, Red.
Don't let him get away!
It's my favorite ability because you can light people on fire. And subsequently, you could take out security guards in one hit, but it takes a little bit longer to charge. Now then, the thing here is we're trying to get the other guard to come up at us. The only problem is we don't... You know, with the fixed camera angles, we're not 100% sure where he's at. And so, most of the time you're gonna wanna maybe run to get their attention, but otherwise, walking, you know, is more like stealth mode of the game. I should probably really conserve this red. We don't get extra red for a while. But we only have one thing of Nalcon, so it's going to be saving us more ammo just going with red right now than it is Nalcon. Have I mentioned how much I love tank controls? Also, another way we can build AP is by getting hit, and generally don't want to get hit. And strangely, the other scientists not really caring about this. Everything here is an enemy. There is no talking to a nice guy. Hey, we know the PPEC storage thingamabob. We should probably visit it. But first... more freaky experiments. One thing Galerians does in spades is just make it seem completely creepy. We're gonna need this number a little further on down the line, but right now we seem to be good to go. Well, that's a hint, if I ever saw one. Yep, and this is the freezer room, which we'll get a couple of things that's gonna serve our purposes. One of which is getting some more Narcon. As far as I know, this button serves no purpose. I should probably say, as far as I remember, it serves no purpose other than to show, I guess, a big vat of, well, brains, eyes, and other organs. Another thing that's a bit different from this game to Resident Evil is that it's a little more linear. I mean, obviously you've seen a lot more FMVs going on. There's really only one logical path to ever go. And the puzzles aren't nearly as obtuse, I would say, as Resident Evil's puzzles. The thing that always annoyed me, though, is that you always have to go back into your inventory. You don't automatically put it in. Which, you know, I feel like they could have really streamlined that a bit. The liquid explosives definitely going to help us go down the second floor, because that one door that the guard was, well, guarding happened to be the way down. And it was, well, it was armored. And we come back to this hallway because there's specifically a door down here. And this is going to be our save room. Almost all of them are going to look exactly like this. But with that, I want to call it an update. I want to thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next episode.